Whoa, what a start with my voice being all scratchy. Hello, welcome to the first live Q&A for the Goal Mid-Year Refresh Challenge. I really should not have picked that many words for the title of this, of this challenge, of this adventure that we are going on for the next 3 days. I am so excited to check in with you and hear how things are going. So let's kick it off. I want you to just start by saying hi in the comments. If you're here live, I would love for you to say hi and where you are tuning in from. And if you are catching the replay, I would love for you to say hi in the comments there as well. This particular session is for you. This is for me to support you through whatever it is as you work through this challenge. I know that it can be a lot. Even though the videos are short, the work is a lot, both actual like time amount of work as well as mental and like emotional potential work. Now, I'm hoping that this first day wasn't as emotional quite yet. We're probably going to get a little bit more like that when we go on for the next few days. This first day, hopefully, like I said in the video, you were focused on facts and just getting some information down on paper. So hello. We got Tennessee, Southwestern New York. Hello from Kansas. Hello from Colorado. Hello from Lisbon, Oklahoma, and Florida. So many friends all over the world, which is so exciting. Let me take a sip of my cold coffee at this point. Hello from the UK, Peoria, Illinois. Jennifer, why did I never know that's where you lived? Down in Peoria. That is, I mean, it's far, but it's not too far. And Philly, hello. All right, let's start. Let's kick it off. And if you have questions, I'm here to answer whatever questions you have. But I want to start with this question, which is, have you finished the day one exercise? If not, have you scheduled time to work on it? I just simple. Yes or no? Have you finished it? Or do you have time scheduled to work on it? Or maybe you finished half of it. Maybe you're like, I've done 4 of my 8 goals, but I would love to hear if you have completed it, for those of you that are here live. If you're catching the replay, my guess / hope is that you have completed the exercise. Those of you that are here live may have like, I want to hop on the live, even if I haven't finished it yet. Yes, we have scheduled time this afternoon. Viv, being my superstar, I always talk about this on the lives that I do every single week, which is including your name. If your YouTube name is not your actual name. Yes, I did it, doing it today. Didn't have time. Jennifer, do not fret. If you want to hop off and not bother listening to the live because you don't have any personal questions and spend this time working on it, go for it. If you want to keep hanging out with us, you keep hanging out with us, but do not fret. Scheduled for later today. Lots of people doing it later today. Okay. It sounds like, I mean, it's a Saturday, right? That was probably, it kicked it off on Friday. You may or may not have had time to get to it. So that is not a big deal. For those of you that have finished it, I would love to know if you had any light bulb moments from the first exercise. Was there anything that came up while you were working on it that you kind of surprised you? Whether it was, I made more progress than I thought I did, or, oh, I hadn't even thought that is what wasn't working about that goal. Like sometimes just taking the moment to answer the questions will bring to light things that you didn't think about before. I'm just pausing to see if anybody has any answers for me. Okay, no light bulb moments. All right. Oh, there we go. It looks like things were just, I had forgotten I only had 4 goals. That is a really interesting insight, Katie. My guess by that only is like you thought you had more goals than 4. Like you thought there was more that you were trying to work on. That's that blurry line between like a goal and a to-do list. So that is so interesting. I'm finding more that I don't know why I haven't been working on it. That is not necessarily what we're trying to get to in the next 3 days, right? Like the next 3 days are about picking what we want to focus on, and making sure that it's goals that are important to us, Not today. Don't fret about that. Day one is just getting the facts down on paper. Um, but Jennifer, maybe think a little bit more about them instead of thinking of it like grouping them all together. Think about them individually, like each of your individual goals. There is potential, like it doesn't have to be all or nothing, right? There might be a why that is different for each of your individual goals. Viv, I accomplished more than I thought I had. I love that. And I'm okay with the ones that I didn't do well on. Positive. I love it. I've made progress because I've been completing most of my action steps, but in the grand scheme of things, I feel like I've made no progress. Tiffany, but if you've made progress, then you have made progress. So I'm not sure what is like that's one of the benefits of actually writing it down on paper, is being able to see like, this is the progress that I've made for each of these steps. So if you feel like you have made no progress, my guess is it's one of two things. One is that you have too many goals. You have way too many goals. So you've been completing a lot of action steps, but you have so many goals that in comparison, you feel like you have made no progress. The other situation is that it's very possible your expectations of where you are going to be is higher than where you're at. And I know you just went through a big move. Like there's a lot of reasons why your progress, even though you've been completing what you said you were going to complete, so you have made progress, it's lower than what you thought it was going to be or what you expected it to be. So that's why you feel like it's none. So I don't know if either of those kind of sticks with you. I have one that I didn't think I did any work on. And when I did the sheet, I realized I had done a lot. I love that, Lynn. Jennifer, I just couldn't really answer what wasn't working. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. What isn't working could be that you're not motivated, that goal doesn't mean anything to you. It could be that you haven't broken it down enough. It could be that you're scheduling things in too big of time chunks. It could be that you're scheduling things at the wrong time of day. It could be for you that you're just expecting too much of yourself. Kind of like what I just said to Tiffany, right? Your expectations were bigger than your ability to execute on that. Ooh, I love this. I decided to make summer its own quarter when I reviewed my goals. I love this for so many reasons. I am a big proponent of some sort of quarterly goal. And when I say that, I mean that you're breaking your annual goals down into smaller steps with milestones and focuses and achievements that are shorter than a 12-month time span. Because frankly, talking about expectations, our knowledge of what we can achieve on a 12-month time span is really tough to estimate because we don't know what 12 months is going to look like. But the next 3 months, we know a lot more. We have a lot more clarity about what 3 months looks like. But that said, for a lot of people, now for some of us, and I fall into this camp, we can just follow the regular quarters of the year. Like if you don't have anything driving anything different, follow the regular quarters. It's a nice, consistent, it tells you when to do your refreshes and you can kind of follow it and it's nice. For those of you who have life situations where you have big things that happen at different points that are opposite of the quarters. And this is really true for if you have small kids that are home during the summer, or you work in education of any kind, or even if you are like an accountant, right? Like, and you want a refresh that starts May 1st because March and April are super swamped for you. Like, your year might break down differently in terms of quarters. And I'm going to put that in quotes because it is different. You could break it up differently. It also doesn't have to be 3 months, right? It could be 2 months and then 4 months, right? Or it could be in weeks. Now, if that just feels way too overwhelming to you, then like ignore everything that I'm saying. But like, let me give you an example. If you are a teacher, maybe your year breaks down like this: from when you go back to school in January until spring break, and then spring break to the end of the year, your summer, back at school until, if you want to, you could do a really long chunk and go all the way to winter break. You could break that up halfway if you want. I think it kind of depends on when you go back to school. If you're in the South, my brothers go back to school, I think it's like August 10th. You probably do want to break up at some point before you get to winter break. But if you are in the Northeast and you go back to school after Labor Day, you probably could do one chunk that's like back to school until winter break, and then like winter break and holidays, right? I think that was 5 instead of 4 I just did, and the timing of those is gonna be all over the place, but that might be more beneficial for you when it comes to refreshing your goals and making smaller goals than the regular quarters of the year. Yes, oh my gosh, and, like I just said, it is hard to predict goals for the whole year. I really need this mid-year reassessment for every single person. Like, even if you don't anticipate your life changing that much, um, like if you are in a situation where you're not planning to go through any major life changes, relationship, job, physical location, etc., like all the big life changes, that you're not expecting to go through any of those before, in a 12-month time span, it doesn't mean that your goals can't change or won't change. So checking in, that is why I personally believe in a quarterly refresh. Um, and checking in with our annual goals. We're doing a bigger kind of assessment in the middle of the year, but you could do this every quarter in when it feels, or when I said this in the video too, when you feel like you need it. Sorry, I'm like tripping up on my words there. Mm, I love this, Joanna. I'm in the Moxie life, so I have 8 goals, but I've realized that 3 are a priority and I can let the others go. Y'all know I have a love-hate relationship with the areas of life concept. I completely understand and respect the including them so that you don't let areas fall to the wayside. And the Moxie Life team does a really great job of explaining, like, you're not to have big goals in all 8 categories. That's unrealistic, but the other categories are there to make sure they don't fall off. I completely understand. However, mentally, it can be really tough for some people to let go of that and to leave empty space in those, like, areas of life that aren't working for you. And so, or not, or not aren't working, the ones that are working that you aren't going to prioritize right now. Or even if they aren't working, right? If all 8 feel like they're out of control, you can't focus on all 8 at once. You can't make giant improvements on all 8 at once, anyways. So you've got to prioritize them. And so, um, I think that I think the value of it is knowing that you are touching on areas of life that are important to you, but also not feeling pressured to put little things in every little category. So I love that you're able to let those go. Um, if you need like just a big smiley face in each one of those in your planner to leave the blank. Jennifer, I think I might be wondering for things I still want to accomplish, how to get in the mindset for getting it done, such as a much needed declutter. So it sounds like for some of them, for the what's not working is that you haven't even started them, right? And so maybe go back and watch the momentum motivation video. What is important is knowing obviously what you want to do, which we'll get to that a little bit later in the next couple of days, spoiler alert, but also what like so what's not working is that you haven't actually started it. That it could be as simple as that. Let me remove this so I can keep going. Okay, Sarah. One of my goals I have completed and made so much progress on the things I can control and not so much on what I cannot control. So while a goal is not complete, I did everything I had control over. Oh my gosh, Sarah, I'm so glad that you said this because I think it's just a really helpful reminder for everyone. The what's not working box, it could be, first off, like I just said to Jennifer, it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be very simple. You don't need 800 reasons in that box. One is enough, and a simple one is plenty. One of those reasons could very well be because I didn't have control over it. How many times in our lives have we set goals that are based on somebody else, right? Somebody else's results, and or even things that are just totally not within our control. For example, if you have a job that's like you are on a salary and you have a steady income, then setting like a numerical savings goal could be very feasible for you. For somebody whose income fluctuates, setting a numerical savings goal is really difficult because my income is going to fluctuate every single month, and so does my husband's. And so that would be a goal that for us is not within our control. Focusing on our finances, tracking and looking at them every month, that's a step that is within our control. So I appreciate you sharing that. I think that's a really great reminder for people. Mindy, doing this challenge helped me see how much progress I made with some and how I'm really okay with the goals I didn't make a lot of progress in. Very helpful with motivating me to keep going and confidence that I'm on the right path. That your comment just makes me smile. That makes me very happy. I'm glad to hear that it's going well. I'm super excited. Is this quarter refresh going to be included in your quarter planners? So there are refresh pages in my quarterly planner. It is not quite as in depth as this 3-day challenge that we're doing. It's this 3-day challenge is on a little bit of a larger scale than what is included in the planners, because not every single quarter do you necessarily need like a big giant refresh. You have this challenge, you can always go to it. It's going to be very similar. Like you'll see if you have it, or if you downloaded the Q2 as a member of the community, you can check the Q2, the free one. The refresh is the same at the beginning. I didn't change much there. The lost my train of thought. A lot of the same questions. So. In regards to what you said to Joanna, I think putting priority on certain goals might be why I'm struggling to accept the win accomplishment. And that comes down to, I don't even want to say experience, because that's not it. Like, I think I have gotten better at that with the number of years that I have focused on setting goals. But truthfully, it's a mindset thing, right? Like, you only have so many resources to work on your goals. I am jumping into day 2, which should already be in your inbox. As soon as you're done with this live, you can go watch that video. But you only have so many resources for the year. Time is a big one. Mental energy is a big one. Like physical energy, mental capacity. You could define those all different things if you really wanted to. My point is that you're not going to make giant leaps on all of them. And so if you have found yourself in the first half of the year prioritizing certain goals, either out of necessity, that is what happened to me to some extent, right? I had to prioritize sleeping and resting out of necessity, or you found yourself prioritizing just because you found goals that were more important to you in this season and you were focused on them. That means that you had less resources left for your other goals. It's not always going to be broken down evenly. And so knowing that, focus on the ones, like the goals that you have made progress on, and the ones that you haven't, you either decide, did I just put them on the back burner for this time? Or are they actually, like, did this show me that they're not as important and they can stay on the back burner for now? It doesn't mean you're never going to work on them. It just means right now they may not be a priority for you. A lot of really great thoughts, a lot of great things and questions and suggestions. I appreciate those of you who are here participating live. Any other questions? I don't have any other pop-ups for you. Those are all of the things that I had. Are there any other questions that you have for as you're working on this, as you're going through these? Obviously, we have 2 more live. So the day 2 challenge should be in your inbox as soon as you're done here. If you're here live, you found the link, so you should be good to go. I know some people have been finding the challenge emails in their spam. But day 2, and then we have another live tomorrow, and then day 3 will be in your inbox, and then we have another live on Monday night. So I'm here. If you have other questions, you can also always reach out privately if that makes you feel better. But I do feel like it's easier. My responses are going to be much better if I am talking them versus typing them out. That's why I do also send a lot of voice messages when you ask me questions. But is your planner downloadable? Roxanne, yes. So I created a planner for myself. This is not meant to be a sales pitch at all for the planner. I created a planner that I wanted for myself. In Q2, I gave it to the community, both as a thank you for moving over to Teachable with me, as well as I needed other people to try it out besides me and share their thoughts. So then they shared their thoughts, and I updated the Q3 version based on my experience as well as their feedback. And the Q3 version is up. It is up. It's on Teachable. You can see it there. You can also always send me a message if you need it, but it is a downloadable. I do not have any plans for it to be a physical product. It's downloadable. It's just Q3 for now. I just want the opportunity to make any final tweaks before I launch a Q4 version. That's why it's just 3 months. There's a Monday start and a Sunday start. I think that's it. And then the course. Also, FAQ is coming very soon. So no, this launch of the course is going to be, we're going to do it together. So there's 7 modules. We're going to do 1 a day for 7 days. So the course will be available on Monday, unless you're on the wait list, and then it'll be available tomorrow. But it will kick off next Saturday. So 1 week from today, we'll do a live kickoff call just like this. And then there will be, lost my train of thought. 1 a day for 7 days. The modules will release, and then after that, you'll have access to it for forever. Great question, Nikki. What if you haven't set up any 2023 goals? So if you have not set up any 2023 goals, you can still utilize 100% day 2 and day 3, right? Day 2 and day 3 are going to be day 2 is assessing your time and your resources for the second half of the year. You could do that without any goals. And then day 3 is picking your goals. And so you just won't have don't worry about day 1, because there's nothing for you to assess. Day 1 was all about assessing your current goals. And that doesn't exist for you. What I would recommend is before you get to day 3, I would recommend doing the freebie. So and I guess I will link it here after the live. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget. It's how to figure out what you want your goals to be and goal ideas. So I want you to do that after before you do day 3, so you have ideas of where to start with. But don't worry about day 1, because there's nothing to check in on. Great question. I also realized I didn't need to change my planner up. I just needed to do a challenge like this. My current systems have everything I need. Interesting, Mindy. I kind of love that. And then Joanna asked Mindy, are you managing to continue with all 8 areas of life? And Mindy said, I have 2 areas that I have made major progress, 3 that are medium, and 3 that are a little progress. So interesting. It's, again, there are pros and cons to having those areas and having defined categories to work within. I think there's a lot of benefits, and then depending on your personality, there can be struggles. So you just have to figure out what works best for you. And sometimes that's trial and error, which is honestly one of the benefits I think of like quarterly options, is that you could try something out for a quarter, and if it doesn't work for you, you can do something else. So like if you are unsure, now I know that for some of the layouts, right? Like for Moxie Life specifically, they have quarterly options. You can try it for a quarter, and if it doesn't work, then you didn't buy a whole year of a product. But it's not every layout is available quarterly. You need to take a breath. Any other questions? Anything else? Or do you just need that kick in the pants to go finish up day 1 and then day 2? Day 2 should not take you near as long, by the way. Day 2 should not take you near as long, because day 1 length is really dependent on how many goals you have, right? If you have 3 goals, it's going to take you less time than if you have 8 or 10 goals. Day 2 should not take you that long. Any other questions? Jennifer, interesting, good question. Do you typically have a good suggestion for a number of goals to set? I realize that it can fluctuate. So I actually did a video on this because this is a question that I got all the time. So I will link the YouTube video I did on this topic. Obviously, there is no right answer. There is no right answer. I'm not going to give you a number, because for any individual person, the number is going to fluctuate, not only based on your personality, but based on your life. So what I mean by that is, number 1, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to just quickly reiterate what's in the video, but if you are the kind of person, if you like a lot of goals and you like variety, so you don't get bored, but you got to be okay with small progress, you can have more. If you are somebody who needs to see massive progress in order to stay motivated, you're going to need to err on the side of a lower number. If you're somebody who has a lot of other commitments, a lot of things going on, children, full-time job, caring for a loved one, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, whatever, travel for work, and big commitments, you probably want to err on the smaller side. And then it depends on, are the goals that you're setting, are they big time commitments, right? Are you setting goals that have big, time isn't even the only resource, big commitments in general, or are you picking smaller goals, right? I'm trying to think of an example here. Like last year, I had 8 goals last year, but one of them was to plan and enjoy my honeymoon. That wasn't a massive undertaking. I mean, it was a lot, it was work, but it wasn't like it was steps, but it wasn't something I was doing every single day, right? So, and then ultimately by August, it was over. Like that goal didn't exist anymore. So I didn't feel like I was doing too much by having that many goals. That makes sense. So there's just a lot of factors to consider. If you are really unsure, like it is your first time setting goals and you're really unsure, I would also maybe err on the side of a smaller number. You could always add more. And for most of us mentally, it's easier to add more goals than to take some away. Viv, this is a good question. How do you avoid falling into the trap of just checking your system and trying a totally new system because there's so many mid-year start planners? Sometimes I find that excitement quite motivating. So this is hard. If for goals in general, you know what, and it's true for regular planners and goal planners, anything with a mid-year start, which is one of the reasons why I'm also not like, I appreciate if you have questions about the planner that I just launched, like please, please, please ask. I don't want to push it out like over and over again, because ultimately, if you bought a goal planner for 2023, I want you to use that. Like I want you to use the planner you spent your money on, and like mine will be there for you in 2024 if you want to try it. Okay. I just want you to know that. So if you are I understand why companies do both, right? I understand why there's a mid-year and the end of the year. They get to launch twice, basically. I think you really have to decide, who are you in terms of a planner? Are you a calendar year planner or a school year planner, right? Which one do you fall in? And most of us, we can immediately answer that question, right? It's pretty simple. To the best of your abilities, stick to that, right? If you are a calendar year planner, right now, you just got to like blinders on, like the horses at the races, blinders on, focus on you and the systems that you have, and don't get distracted by all the new things launching. They will be there in January, in December, when you're picking a new system for 2024, right? And then the same thing applies. If you are a school year person right now, you're thriving, it's exciting, all these things. And then in December, blinders on. You have something. Now, if you really feel like something isn't working for you, then that is a different conversation that you may need to have with yourself to decide, is it really not working? And I want to try something new. If that's the case, then it's less about, it needs to be function driven and not product driven. So it needs to be, okay, my system's not working. Here's what's not working about my system. Here's what I would like to be different about it. Here are the things I would change. And then you go look for a product that fits within that change, as opposed to like, oh, that new product just launched. That looks really cool. That would fix all the problems I have. Do you know what those problems are? Like, would it fix all your problems? I don't know. Those are kind of my thoughts. I'm so bad at this. I'd hold out, and then as soon as I feel like in my slump, I try to tell myself, I know by now what works, but it's hard not to switch. Yeah. Jean, I only set 3 goals for 2023, but I haven't made much progress on 2 of them, a money goal and a list growth goals. How can I adjust the goals for the second half of the year? So adjusting is very much day 3. Like planning out what we're going to do for the second half is what we're going to do on day 3. So I'm happy to somewhat answer your question, but I want you to like keep an open mind and following the next 2 days. And then if you're still struggling with this, like let's even chat further. But most of the time, if you haven't made progress, It's because of a couple things. One, it's not an important goal to you and you don't like it's on your list, but the why isn't there or it's not the right time. Number two, it's not broken down enough. So you need to make those steps even smaller, right? So maybe the money goal, it's it's maybe the overall goal for the money goal is unrealistic, or you just need to make the steps a little bit smaller. I'm not sure what you mean by list growth, unless you mean um, like an email list, if that's a business goal that you're asking about. And if both of those are numerical goals, Jean, most of the time, I understand the benefit of numerical goals. I learned that from Sarah at Heart Breathings from her HB90 course. She has a whole philosophy on why you set numerical goals that are not within your control that I'm not going to jump into because it's very much within her course. I do that for my business because Sarah encouraged me to do that. But one of those things that has to come with that is letting go of, like, first off, setting them on shorter time frames, right? Instead of an annual, it's only 90 days. And then if you are really falling short of those numerical goals, it's the projects that you're picking. It's not your failure. It's not like whatever. It's the projects that you're picking are not helping you get towards those goals. What do you need to do differently? And then pivoting to get yourself there. I will tell you, so we're, I guess, 8 weeks into the, not 8 weeks, 10-ish weeks into the quarter almost. So we're like not quite done, but we're getting there. One of my business goals is in good shape. One of them is in like decent shape. One of them is not even close, not even close. And that just means that the numbers I picked were unrealistic and the projects I picked to get there are not working. And that's why 90-day goals for business and numbers really work, I think. Yeah, function driven and not product driven. I like that too. I like how that came out. Anything else? One is a should goal that I should let go of. I definitely don't like saying you should let go of it, but if it was a should goal, then it's likely not that's probably one of the biggest reasons why it's not working. But yeah, numerical goals, even if they're based in like numbers, numerical goals, right, that are based in numbers. You know what I mean? Numerical goals that are based in historical numbers, sometimes they still don't work, y'all. Sometimes it's still hard to hit them. So that is why, first off, numerical goals need to be on a shorter time frame, and you have to let go of you're not a failure if you don't hit those. Unless we're talking now, not all numerical goals that are out of your control, right? And people signing up for your list ultimately is not within your control. If you're setting a numerical goal, I want to read a certain number of minutes or pages or books, that's different. That's within your control. All right. Anybody else? If not, I am going to send you on your way to go do day 2's session. Oh, every time I think I'm like, we're going to wrap it up, and then someone jumps in. My biggest obstacles is my goals sometimes conflict with each other. For example, having time may mean getting up earlier and staying up later, but that is in conflict with my sleep goals. 100%, especially when it comes to time, your goals can definitely be in conflict with each other, which is why you've got to know the priority. Which one is the priority right now? That word is hard to say today. Which one right now is the priority for you? It doesn't mean it has to be for forever. You can change your mind, but right now is whatever you're getting up earlier to do more important, or is sleep more important? And that is where you're at. Now, the other thing to remember is it doesn't always have to be all or nothing, right? You can meet yourself in the middle. Sleep doesn't have to be either 6 hours or 10 hours, right? You can find a happy medium, but there are definitely times that you're going to have to prioritize, especially if it is a time heavy resource goal, especially if time is the biggest resource for that goal. But the same is true with not time resources, like financial resources, right? Like I would love to like furnish our entire apartment in like today. Like I'd sit here and buy all the things. That's not financially feasible for me to do that. Unless I just like take all of our savings for it. So I have to prioritize like what are the steps that we're going to prioritize. That's good to hear because I've been prioritizing sleep and giving myself grace, but it has slowed progress 100%. But that means your sleep has been hopefully thriving. So, and sleep is amazing and very important to a lot of goals. Even if you don't directly feel the impact of it to your goals, sleep is very important and can have a really positive impact on a lot of progress. So, don't like, it's just a give or take there. Anything else? I will be back here tomorrow, same time, different, same place, different link. Keep an eye out in your email for the link. It's going to be different. And we will chat tomorrow. Have fun assessing your time. And if you have any other questions, you can always leave them in the comments of this video, or we'll chat live tomorrow. And happy challenge. Thanks, everybody.